Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, it's been a long time since we've convened to record an episode of this podcast here, so it's nice to be back in the recording chair. Happy to talk about a specific movie with you in just a short amount of time, but I kind of feel like maybe we should say up at the top, sorry that we've been absent for so long.
Our bi-weekly schedule turned into like a 1 month.
You know, by the time this goes up, I'm not even sure what it'll look like, but yeah, things got hectic in a hurry. And unfortunately, the podcast kind of fell by the wayside. So I hope no one takes too much offense at that. But unfortunately, it's kind of the first thing when I'm like, oh, I don't have enough free time. I can't make free time for it. But I have made free time now. You have made free time now. We are here to talk about Knives Out. We're a little bit late to the party in terms of recording on it. I think it came out probably a couple weeks ago now. I think we were going to do Frozen 2 first, but you haven't seen it yet, so we're going a little bit out of order in terms of release dates, but we will circle back around to Frozen 2. That is our intention, just FYI. So I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Andrew, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
I had an awesome Thanksgiving. We'll probably get into it we'll probably talk about it in the catching up section.
Mm-hmm. Sure. A little bit later, sure.
But yeah, went on a trip, did some cool things, been working around the house, and it's definitely been a crazy month.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, I think you've been busy as well. I enjoyed my Thanksgiving, and then I got swamped with schoolwork, and now I'm in the midst of taking exams. I've only got one more, fortunately, only one more. I'll be done in just a few days' time, which will be very nice, and I'll be able to enjoy a Christmas holiday in peace. So yeah, it's just been busy, and unfortunately that's just, like I said, just kind of let the podcast fall by the wayside, but we're back. Don't worry about it. I can't make any promises in terms of regularity for scheduling right now, but I can say that when my exams are over, it'll make things so much easier. And so it's really just going to be a matter of scheduling things and stuff like that. So I do have some announcements, that have kind of been the natural consequence of our recording schedule going out of whack, which is to say that people have probably noticed that we have not put out any Star Wars bonus episodes as of yet, and The Rise of Skywalker comes out in literally a week from when we're recording this, and obviously that creates somewhat of a problem because 3 bonus episodes in the span of a week when I still have an exam left. You do the math. It ain't going to happen. Yeah. What we are going to do, we're going to do something a little bit different than what we have done, but we are still going to do a bonus episode. We're going to do a bonus episode around the entire franchise, the Star Wars franchise. So it's going to be probably a big, long one, if I had to guess, just knowing us. But it'll be a way for us to still kind of dip our toes into the franchise, relive the franchise. Hopefully before we enjoy The Rise of Skywalker. We may have to record it after, potentially, just depending on how the timing works on that. But either way,
I have 5 movies to watch.
Well, that's just it. I'm in the same boat. I've got a lot to go, and 3 of them are, what they are, so doesn't make it easy, shall we say. But either way, we're going to try to press on, see them, hopefully, but again, before The Rise of Skywalker comes out, but we may not get the chance to record. I think it's probably going to be hard for us to sit down and actually record before the movie comes out. But either way, we'll do that. We'll have that up, and then hopefully we'll have our coverage of The Rise of Skywalker to follow that. I don't know how in-depth we'll get with that. I think last time with The Last Jedi, we did a non-spoiler and a spoiler. Depending on, I think, how the movie is, the revelations and stuff, I think will probably dictate how we do it, how we cover it. But either way, it's all coming up soon. It's very exciting to have Star Wars on the horizon. I really have wanted to watch more of the franchise than I have done to this point. But again, just been busy. It's just been a busy, hectic time of the year. So now that it's finally winding down, Star Wars is the reward on the flip side of that. So sorry, guys, that you guys won't have the wealth of content that we usually try to offer, like we did with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and stuff. But given that we recorded so many hours of that, this may actually be somewhat of a blessing in disguise, at least in terms of listenability, because you will have less things to listen to, So anyway, the long and the short of it is we are here now, and we're talking about Rian Johnson's Knives Out. And it's a film that I think both of us have been very excited to talk about, to see, first of all, obviously, before we get a chance to talk about it. But it's here. We've both seen it. I saw it yesterday. I think you've seen it a little bit further back, so hopefully you remember some of the details from the movie when we do get into it in a little bit more detail. But I will ask you this up at the top. Do you have any fun facts about Knives Out you want to share with our listeners?
I do.
All right, tell me about it. Tell them about it.
So, I found this neat little twit. Is it a twit?
No, it's a tweet. You got it right the first time.
I found a little tweet, yep. From Steve Yedlin.
Okay.
He's the cinematographer for Knives Out.
I see.
And
right.
he, so what they did was, a large portion of this movie takes place in like a clue house, if you will. It seems to me like a clue house.
Sure.
And a lot of people wear glasses in this movie. And so what they did was, the key grip, Matt Mania, he made some mats, sculpted these maps, and then they reshaped readjusted their lighting to reflect these pieces of art into the people's glasses to replicate different windows and stuff in the house, different bookcases and windows and this and that. So it was a realistic reflection in each person's glasses, which is pretty cool. Seems like a lot of effort, and it paid off because, well, you don't see
in terms of setting, it's largely contained to mostly just one setting. There are exceptions, obviously, throughout the film, but yeah, it always is kind of interesting. I mean, I think Mother is one that we bring up often. That was mostly a singular setting, and it's like, I would think just like, oh, they're filming in a single house. How difficult could it be? But in some ways, that almost kind of presents its own sort of challenges to work within the confines of a limited kind of space like that. And I think that's just a prime example of there's a lot more work that goes into something even like this than I think you might expect. So that's quite interesting. So thank you for that.
Yeah, a little factoid for you.
Now, it's been... I would venture a guess it's probably been close to a month since we sat down and talked about Ford v Ferrari. It feels like a long time ago anyway, let's put it that way. And there's been a lot of news that's come out in the interim, obviously, and we could be here for 4 hours if we wanted to talk about all of it, but we're not going to do that. Fear not. I'm sure people's heart just dropped a good few feet when they heard that statement, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do something a little bit different from the news. I culled it down to 6 trailers. I think we have the best time talking about trailers overall. There's been some good trailers that have come out that I think we'll have some good conversations about. And honestly, there's been a lot of casting news or release dates and blah, blah, blah. And like, you know what? Those movies will have trailers eventually too. So we'll talk about them eventually. It's not a question of when if we'll talk about it. It's a question of when we'll talk about it. And the answer to that is we'll talk about it later because we have some other things to talk about. So we're going to do 6 trailers. We'll take turns and introduce them and go through them. And I want to start with one that I'm pretty excited about. It's a little movie from Marvel Studios called Black Widow.
Oh,
which is coming to theaters in May of 2020. It is I think officially the first Phase 4 project/film for Marvel Studios. I think Spider-Man Far From Home is technically still considered part of Phase 3 after Endgame. So this is a new chapter for Marvel Studios, and it stars one of the characters that died in one of their last films. So Black Widow, it only took, 23 movies, and we're finally getting a solo project for her.
And she's dead in the current...
right, so it's a bit fucked in that sense. Now, obviously, it's an interesting kind of thing. It's a prequel, obviously, because of that being a pretty obvious roadblock to making a movie with her. But it's not a traditional origin story type prequel or anything, although I expect it'll dabble into that here and there. This actually takes place after Captain America Civil War. So this is kind of Black Widow on the run. And from what we see in the trailer, I guess going back to Russia and meeting up with some of her Russian compatriots, some comrades, I guess you could say. Well, let me ask you. I already kind of revealed that I'm excited about it, but I want to ask if you're excited about it and maybe what your thoughts were on the trailer.
It looks interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a good word.
Yeah, I guess naturally it's a little bit less, like, I don't know, grand because it's It comes off just straight up action movie, which I guess, don't get me wrong, that's what a superhero movie is, but it's less...
it's less fantastic.
Yeah, right.
I think by virtue of having a powerless main character compared to a grandiose Thor or Iron Man even, you know?
Right. So when you have those kind of tapestries, I think it kind of comes across like a Fast and the Furious kind of deal a little bit.
Well, I think that's an interesting observation because I expected this to be a bit more grounded. I guess you could say, like, I guess I expected more Bourne
spy flick,
or even James Bond, maybe, where it's over the top kind of action pieces, but still somewhat realistic. Whereas this just feels like it's almost closer to G.I. Joe, which I don't think is an overly favorable comparison. But it feels like even though this is a powerless character that they're focusing on who is known for being a spy, it still feels they have
superpowers.
It still feels like they're like, you know what, this is a Marvel movie, this is a comic book movie, like we're still going to throw some money at this and make it pretty grandiose in terms of its scale. So I think it's different in the sense that it's not, you know, laser beams shooting out of people's eyes and such, but it is people flying through skies, shooting guns as they're like dropping out of the sky, and, you know, superhero landings and stuff like that. Bad on the knees, by the way. Just ask Deadpool. But it's not what I expected, which is good and bad. I like to be surprised. But I guess I expected it to be kind of almost a different flavor.
Movie. Cloak and dagger kind of deal. I would have appreciated
and
that.
People are comparing it to Winter Soldier, which I think does have, especially third act, has the elements of kind of over-the-top action. But if we got something similar in tone to the Winter Soldier, I'd be thrilled. I don't know if this is quite going to hit that, but...
It doesn't look like they're going for that anyways.
No, yeah, and I wonder if it's a symptom of how the trailer's edited, if it's like, oh, this is a Marvel movie, we don't want to advertise it as kind of a quieter thing, or if it's just... this is as advertised, which is fine too. You know what I mean? It is a Marvel movie. It is a character that we've seen involved in these sorts of set pieces for now years, for basically almost literally, pretty much literally a decade by the time this comes out. Right. You know, so I don't know. It's different than what I expected, but I do like it overall. I think the cast is excellent. I think that's one of the strongest probably pieces I think going for it.
I'm excited to see tattooed up Hellboy as a retired superhero.
Yeah, David Harbour is Red Guardian. Yeah, that'll be fun. He looks like he's having a good time.
Who is Red Guardian? Let's talk about Red Guardian.
He's the Soviet kind of equivalent of Captain America. You know,
is he super soldier?
I think he is in the comics. I don't know how they'll handle it here. But yeah, basically it's, you know, every kind of country, once Captain America came around, had to have their own version of it. And usually it was a not as good version. And I think that's probably still true here. And obviously he's probably designed to be a little bit out of his prime, but even his prime was still probably somewhere below Captain America's prime. But he looks fun. I mean, he's kind of just playing himself, right? Isn't that kind of what he does? You know, but he's kind of what he does. He's good at that. It's fun. Florence Pugh coming in, looking good. I think she's going to blow up big time after this, which is deserved. She was great in Midsommar. And who else? Rachel Weisz. Come on, I know you're a fan. So I like it. And the white suit. I like the white suit. I think the white suit looks excellent. Big fan of the white suit. Not a fan of Taskmaster's basically mask. I think it looks bad. I will say that.
Like a paintball mask almost?
Yeah, it's a little too paintball for me. I think it should have been a little bit more closer. Look, I mean, I know we talked at length about the Spider-Man PS4 game when it came out, when we played it. But that design of Taskmaster, I would have just translated 100% to this, and I think it would have been better. So... would have been better. I think it would have been the way to go, but I also think it would have just definitely been better. But either way, quibbles, you know, we'll see how it kind of pans out. May 2020 is when this will drop, so it's really not that far away. Pretty much going to kick off this next summer, and so I'm looking forward to it, as I said.
Speaking of spy movies, or what we thought would be a spy movie, we got a James Bond trailer. No Time to Die trailer, I should say.
007.
No Time to Die, yes.
Bond. James Bond.
Yeah, but the delivery in the trailer was a little bit more...
Benoit Blanc.
And this looks pretty cool. I like James Bond. James Bond's pretty cool.
Uh-huh. It's a it's interesting. It's another interesting trailer. Maybe that'll be the word of the day. It looks like it's very closely following the story of Spectre, which is kind of an interesting, I think, direction in the sense that I don't know that people love that film.
That's the one where he goes back home, right?
No, that's Skyfall. Spectre is the one with Christoph Waltz in it as Blofeld, and with Léa Seydoux' character, Swan, who we see in the beginning and kind of throughout the trailer. But it was kind of designed as like it really felt like it was designed to be the last movie for Craig. Like, he basically ended with him walking away with the girl. And then, like, here the trailer starts with, "You betrayed me!" And I was just like, oh, okay, they had to write themselves out of that corner, apparently. It's interesting.
It seems like every Daniel Craig movie starts off with him on fucking vacation. Leave me the fuck alone. Like, he doesn't want to be a fucking spy.
There's usually some variant of that. And it looks like here he's actually been replaced as a 00 agent by the Lashana Lynch character, which is fun. I enjoyed the banter that we saw in the trailer. But yeah, it's basically like, you're too old for this shit, but you got to do it one last time, Bond. You got to do it for it. You got to do it for MI6 or whatever.
I got
maybe he has to do it for the CIA this time, because we do see our boy Felix Leiter come back, Jeffrey Wright, which is appreciated.
I also got the Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie vibes from this, at least from the villain character, having remember the guy with the diamonds in his face?
Well, hopefully it's not that bad. I mean,
but
Rami Malek is a good actor, so
he is.
They're definitely doing the kind of. Every James Bond villain has to have some sort of thing. They got to have their thing, right? So he's got, looks like a scarred face, and he's wearing the mask, I guess, that covers it or whatever. So I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what his angle is. Yeah, I don't know. I think people are speculating, I guess I should say, that he is potentially a kind of updated version of Dr. No, which would be kind of interesting.
I read about that. What did he was like the big James Bond villain, right? Dr. No?
I mean, I guess it just kind of depends.
He's the guy with the cat. Is he the guy that pets the cat?
No, that's Blofeld, and that's who Christoph Waltz was playing. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they're obviously not above basically taking elements from the older films and kind of updating them, modernizing them.
I wonder if we'll have an odd
revitalize
job.
them. It's possible. You never know.
Remember the odd job?
We don't see one in the trailer, so
from the GoldenEye video game, Odd Job.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Anyways, James Bond movie. That it's a thing, and it's coming out, and
it's a thing. Craig looks good. James Bond. Stuffed into those expensive suits of his, looking good. The stunts look to be on point. It's kind of an all over the place trailer. Kind of just like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of something else for you too. But I like what I see. It looks like it's well shot.
I like James Bond
is directing this, which is still, really, really curious to see how that marriage turns out. So I'm excited for this one as well. I feel like Craig has said like, oh no, this is definitely the last one that I'm doing, which it does feel like it's probably designed to be all right. You thought it was it last time. This is really it, So.
Unless we just need to pay him more money. But if they don't want to pay him any more money,
I think he's done.
Idris Elba would make an excellent James Bond. I'm a big fan of Idris Elba as James Bond.
I'm down. I think people often make the argument that he's too old. Other people make other arguments, as you might expect. But it's one of those things. I think that when this role eventually does turn over to a new actor or actress, it'll be interesting to see the direction they go in, because it's like we're now at the point where by the time the next movie comes out, it'll probably be 2022 or beyond. I don't know. It feels like if there's any one franchise that really could use some sort of modernization in terms of theming and stuff like that, it would be James Bond.
You think so? See, I think that just, I don't know, man. I just like James Bond. I just, No,
I think you could still play with the classic version of the character while still infusing it with a little bit more life that kind of, I think, tries to update it for modern.
You could have a black James Bond. There's no problem with that at all.
Right. I think you could have a female James Bond. There's no problem with that. Jane Bond, if you want to go,
Jane,
so far.
Jane.
Or it's a code name, whatever. It doesn't matter, Like, it almost feels like they're, like, sort of doing that with the Lashana Lynch character here, but it's almost like they're, like, maybe dipping their toes in the water and it's like, oh, if people hate this, then now we have our excuse to never do it or something. I wonder about that.
Right.
But I think it's just one of those things. It's just kind of like, you can do the same thing every few years, and I'll still go see it, and I'll probably still enjoy it. I'm not disputing that, but I think there may be diminishing returns, and I think you've already seen diminishing returns mostly in terms of Craig's tenure as Bond, because it really hasn't been topped since the first entry. Although I enjoyed Skyfall, Quantum is lacking. Spectre, I think, is lacking.
I think I've fallen asleep every time in Quantum. Every time. I don't think I've never not fallen asleep.
Which is, it's a very kinetic movie, so it's kind of an interesting, like, it's almost too much, like it's overload, so your brain just shuts down maybe, but anyway, maybe we'll revisit the Craig films or something like that when this one comes out.
All of them. Bonus episode across
are we gonna
2021. Yeah, we're gonna do every James Bond
Sean
movie.
Connery on.
Yes.
And we'll do at least we'll do a Roger Moore episode where we just talk about all 17,000 that he did and how great they are.
I think he's my least favorite.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be fun to do that.
No,
I don't know if any of us will have time
Timothy
for that,
Dalton is my least favorite James Bond.
No, that's a bad take. That's a horrible take.
Which one's Timothy Dalton? Let me see Timothy Dalton. Am I getting them mixed up?
License to Kill, Living Daylights. I think he was only in the 2.
I like Sean Connery.
No,
I know that.
Connery's a classic Bond. I mean, honestly, for a lot of people, Roger Moore is a classic Bond as well. I think it's just a different sort of Bond than you and I probably gravitate towards. Roger Moore. I think people grew up on Roger Moore. He played the role for a long time. I think close to 20 years. So, and he was prolific in those 20 years at that.
No,
too.
Timothy Dalton was a good James Bond. I take it back. Who am I thinking of? God damn it. I don't know. Anyways, I digress. We're getting off in the weeds.
Yes, we are.
Sorry.
We'll move on.
We've
got some more trailers to talk about. We'll talk about the one that I would say that I'm probably the least excited for in our entire bunch. That's a movie by the name of Free Guy, starring one Ryan Reynolds himself as a bank teller who discovers that he is actually a non-player character in like a live-action open-world video game. Which I gotta say, the premise of this is very creative, and I quite enjoy the premise of it. I'm not sure it's going to work for a whole movie for me, but I will say it was a mostly entertaining trailer. I think Ryan Reynolds is obviously very charming, basically just playing himself at this point, which is kind of his shtick at this point, really.
And that's totally okay.
And that's totally okay. I feel like this is more in the realm of disposable entertainment for me than anything else. But
hotel room movie?
Are
you calling it a hotel movie?
No, I don't know if I would even go that far with it, to be honest. I don't know.
I thought this movie looked pretty freaking hilarious. I thought it looked pretty fun.
I think it could be pretty funny. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be... I don't know if it's going to be so funny or if it's just going to be mildly funny. I'm expecting it to be mildly funny. I've been like again, disposable entertainment. Not a bad thing, but just not anything that's like next level for me. I'd like to be wrong. It looks enjoyable.
I don't think it looks next level, but I think it looks pretty funny. Which
it's got Taika Waititi in it for a bit.
Taika Waititi is in it, and I mean it's just funny. He's breaking the guy's arms, and he's like, "Oh God, oh no," and it just looks like I don't know. It just looks kind of funny.
It looks entertaining.
Made me laugh in the trailer a couple times. Made me laugh a couple times in the trailer actually, which is pretty good. Usually I don't laugh a couple times in trailers, and this one.
I actually kind of enjoyed the weird self dig because it's a Fox movie, which means it's a Disney movie. And so the whole thing about from the studio that brought you, blah, 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 twice. And I was just like, oh, that's pretty good, actually. But
yeah, it's just like it's like Deadpool. I mean, it seems like a Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
Which is totally okay.
It's close to that, I think.
Is that a Glock in your pocket? No, it's 2. Anyways. So yeah, Free Guy looks like a funny movie. I don't know.
I was looking at the director, Sean Levy. It looks like, I think he did the Night at the Museum movies, looks like.
Oh, Night at the Museum's great.
And then and Owen Wilson. Yeah, wow, those are some good movies.
Owen Wilson plays what? Who plays Teddy Roosevelt in those?
Wasn't that Robin Williams?
It was fucking Robin Williams. Yes.
I think Owen Wilson is a cowboy.
That's right. Yes. I haven't seen
those movies in forever.
Yeah.
I don't even know that I saw the third one, to be honest.
I don't think I saw which one's got the mummy? Which one's the mummy?
Oh, it's either the second or the third one.
Okay, well, I've seen the one with the mummy.
Or maybe it's the first one. Actually, I don't know. I don't think it's the first one. Anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway, Free Guy, coming out in July of 2020. Another summer movie for you. Again, I think it'll be a good kind of middle of summer, middle of the pack kind of movie. It's my expectations, and I'm happy to be wrong. Maybe we'll talk about it in July. Maybe.
It depends on what the schedule's like, I suppose.
That's certainly true, isn't it? What else you got? You got a trailer for everyone?
Let's talk Wonder Woman 1984.
I was just giving you some synth for you.
Yes.
Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy my synth?
I did. Well, I enjoyed your synth, and I enjoyed Wonder Woman's synth. I actually really enjoyed... Yes. It's fucking cool. I think that might be my favorite kind of music, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just so
cool. It's a pretty groovy riff on Blue Monday, so it's pretty excellent.
Is that Blue Monday?
Mm-hmm. It's a little New Order action for you.
For some reason, I thought it was that one band. I haven't heard from them in a long time with the female lead singer. I can't remember who they are. I can't remember any songs or anything. I just remember the female lead singer, and it was a song where she talks about. No, I can't even remember the lyrics. Fuck.
I know this is gonna come as a shock, but I cannot help you.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. You've given me too little information. I'm sorry to say.
I think that the marketing team on this trailer is on point. It's a very cool trailer. I think the movie potentially could be. I didn't like the fact that they brought Chris Pine back. I don't know how they would bring Chris Pine back. He didn't age at all. Maybe it's like a sinister plot by the villain. Maybe we don't know. But I didn't care for that a whole lot. Kind of feels like it diminished his role in the last movie, I think.
At least a sacrifice, sure.
Yeah. But the trailer was really fucking cool. You have Wonder Woman swinging from lightning, which is completely nuts.
If I mean, it's just she's just literally riding the lightning, right? I mean, come on. That's the most metal shit you can do.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy. A lot of DC is known for their flying people. That is everly present in this trailer, I think. Wonder Woman seems to fly around through the air a lot, which is, it's a DC thing. People seem to like it. I don't really care for the people flying through the air thing a whole lot. But it does look okay. She slaps a bullet with her wrist, with her
she does
thing.
It's pretty cool. There's a few cool little action bits in this, I thought, showing off Wonder Woman's powers and badassery, which is always appreciated.
It's cool. It looks cool. But I really just enjoyed the way that they framed the trailer. Not even the way they framed the trailer. Just
I think.
Go ahead.
Shouldn't we at least acknowledge that your boy Justin Timberlake is in this film?
Justin Timberlake is in this film.
Oh wait, hold on. Who is that? No, I think is that the Mandalorian? It might be the Mandalorian.
Well, we don't know. Mandalorian does not remove his helmet.
It sure sounds a lot like the Mandalorian, though, doesn't it?
Maybe a little bit.
Interesting.
But I do like Justin Timberlake. I think he's a fantastic actor. I enjoy the movies and stuff he's in.
Yeah,
and
he was great in Game of Thrones as well.
He was incredible in Game of Thrones. He lasted. Yes. He should have won that fucking fight.
He got out when the getting was good, to be honest. So
that's true.
Good on you, Pedro. I mean JT, obviously, not Pedro Pascal, of course. Don't be silly.
But yes, he looks cool in this movie. I think he's going to do a good job. Yeah, man, it looks like there's aspects of this trailer that I don't like, but I do like.
Such as?
Like I said, Chris Pine's character.
Okay,
is kind of
mention that.
Yeah, sure. Chris Pine's character kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Sure. It just looks like it could just fall in the trappings of DC. But then again, it could not, and it could be really fucking cool too. So, go either way, really.
I can at least say this, is that it does not look like the first movie, which I think is good. Not in the sense that the first movie is bad. I think the first movie is quite good, arguably one of DC's best, if maybe not their best. Overall, it might be. It looks like it's not doing the same thing over again, which I think is a good way to take for a sequel. It doesn't really seem to be too fussed about any Justice League connections, which is also a good thing. I wonder how the Chris Pine stuff will work. That seems like it could be treacherous territory to wade into in terms of how. I think it really just depends on how they execute that. Like I said, the action I think looks good. In terms of just being a trailer, this is an excellent trailer. It's a stylish trailer.
Stylish.
It integrates into the setting immediately. You get some flashy 1984 text. The Blue Monday, stuff kicks in. It's really stylish, and even when it kind of picks up in the music, the editing of the trailer syncs with that. And I think that's always really fun. I think you can even compare it to like the No Time to Die trailer, where the editing is not tight in the way that this one is tight in terms of its editing.
It's definitely a well-made trailer.
So it's a very cool trailer. I will say that I think the armor at the end looks like trash. Personally, I think it looks really bad. So hopefully that's not in the movie for very long. I guess the armor itself is fine. It's the helmet and the wings and everything that looks just not great. I was hoping for a glimpse at Cheetah, who is, I think, intended to be one of the principal villains in this. We see Kristen Wiig a lot, but we don't see a feline-like presence in this film. And I wonder if there was an attempt to avoid any comparisons to another film with CGI felines coming out very soon. Cats. I'm talking about cats. And so I wonder if that's a deliberate choice or if it's just not ready to show off yet. But I really feel like that's going to be an interesting angle. It looks... well, obviously, we're going to see this. I think this is a big one. I think it's going to make a lot of money. I think it's probably going to deserve to make a lot of money. And it's bringing back, I think, the team that made the first one so successful. You've got Patty Jenkins coming back for this one. And I think she had... somewhat of a hand in the story. I don't think she wrote the screenplay or anything herself, but I feel like she's been pretty heavily involved, and I think it's good to have that sort of continuity. It's kind of what DC hasn't done well, is like putting things in people's capable hands. They're putting them in hands. They're just not putting them in capable hands. And I think like Wonder Woman was like the first time where they gave it to someone that clearly knew what the fuck they were doing, and it showed and it paid off. And this feels like the right move. It's just like, oh, that worked. Let's do that again. And so I have nothing. I have no reason to doubt Patty Jenkins. I have no reason to doubt Gal Gadot in this role. So it's a trailer that doesn't tell you the story, which is good. But I am curious to see how the story is going to play out, because I think that'll make or break the movie for sure. As it does with every movie. That's not a hot take for this particular movie. It's just kind of an obvious statement. But
what do you think that Black Crystal is?
I don't know.
Is it going to call interdimensional beings into Earth?
I don't think so. I feel like it's going to be a little bit more grounded than that. I feel like it could be. There's a little bit of dialogue in it. I kind of forgot what the dialogue in the trailer is, but I feel like the fact that Maxwell Lord, Pedro Pascal's character, has it, that will be some. It's got to be some sort of magical property. Yeah, he's a pretty traditional DC villain. He's popped up in the Supergirl show in the first season, been in the comics here and there. So
what's his deal? What is he?
He's just a evil businessman, kind of a Lex Luthor light kind of guy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, no alter ego, or I don't think he's going to be putting on any suits or anything like that. I think he's more just going to be an evil asshole.
Okay, that's cool.
Traditional villain, and I think Cheetah will be your formidable physical threat that Wonder Woman will come up against eventually.
Cool. They'll both fly through the air. I
don't know. I said I assume that it's aiding him in some way, so I don't know what the angle is going to be. I assume it's supernatural in some capacity, because why wouldn't you? But I also feel like it's somehow going to turn Kristen Wiig into Cheetah. It's my bold prediction is that it will turn her somehow. So it'll have some sort of powers. I think people are speculating it's like a monkey's paw type thing. Like maybe you wish for something and you get that wish, but then there's a side effect. Something like that,
Oh, okay.
That'd be kind of interesting.
Turns her into a cat's character.
turns into a cat's character. I mean, that's fucking horrifying. It's a real shitty side effect.
It's like a werewolf situation.
She's gonna have to go hang out with horrifying James Corden cat. I mean, I cannot think of a worse fate.
Are we gonna cover that movie? That'd be a good movie to cover.
No. It comes out the same day as Star Wars. Like, what are they even doing?
Doomed for failure. What? Why would you do that to yourself?
Absolutely fucking bizarre.
What do you got? Do you have a trailer?
I have one final trailer for myself. Yes, it is for a film called Ghostbusters Afterlife. The long-awaited sequel to Ghostbusters. As I recall, there have been no sequels to Ghostbusters since Ghostbusters. What's that? There was a reboot in 2016. Oh, was there? People like to forget about that.
Yeah.
It was fine. I'll say that now. It was fine. The backlash was not justified. It was just not a great movie.
So we run through this, I think, every time.
The optics around it were unfortunate otherwise.
Ghostbuster 1 had the State Marshmallow Man or the Michelin Man.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, that's correct.
And then
Gozer the Gozerian.
Which was the painting with the baby.
No. That's the second one. That is Vigo the Carpathian.
Vigo the Carpathian. So, the Gatekeeper and the
Keymaster, that is Ghostbusters 1.
Okay. And then Ghostbusters 2 had the painting with the refrigerator.
Yes. And it's not the refrigerator's in the first one. Oh. The second one's just a painting, basically.
Gotcha.
And,
okay.
And then the baby gets stolen because Vigo is supposed to be reincarnated into the baby or something like that.
Okay.
I believe the second one also involves the Ghostbusters commandeering the Statue of Liberty.
I don't remember that. I don't. Yeah. I just remember the painting. Something about evil paintings. Yep. Yeah, they've always tripped me out a little bit.
It's definitely the second one. But anyway, this is kind of a far cry from Ghostbusters 1 and 2. We don't see any of the original cast in this, although I do believe everyone that is capable of being involved in this will be involved with this. Obviously, Harold Ramis, who is one of the classic Ghostbusters, Spengler, passed away probably at least 10 years ago now, if I had to guess. So he won't be in this, but they're clearly framing this movie to honor his legacy, because basically what we see is his grandchildren, from the looks of it, in this movie, picking up the torch of being Ghostbusters, and I expect that they'll run into your classic Venkmans and Ray Stances and stuff like that. Maybe some Winstons at some point. So
Egon Spengler, isn't that the guy that that was the professor, right? He's the guy that was like the head of the Ghostbusters. Is that right?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was Harold Ramis, like I said, who I just mentioned, who's passed away a while ago now. It was Bill Murray, obviously, and Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson as Winston Zeddemore. So
I watched Dan Aykroyd on...
And Sigourney Weaver was Dana Barrett. She was kind of the love interest for Bill Murray, that her house was the one being possessed with the fridge. There's the temple inside the fridge and stuff, and the eggs cooking on the counter. Can you imagine eggs just popping out of your thing and cooking on the counter? Oh my God. Can you even imagine?
Terrifying shit, man.
Some spooky shit right there.
Maybe when you come down, we can watch Ghostbusters. Man. I haven't seen Ghostbusters in a long time.
Ghostbusters are good. I think I have 1 and 2 on Blu-ray. Actually, I think they're out on 4K, but I don't think I have the 4K copy, but I'll bring them down. I love me some Ghostbusters. I'm a big fan of Ghostbusters in general. I'd love to revisit the franchise overall.
Yeah.
And again, the 2016 film I think is totally fine. I think it's half of a really funny movie and then half of a movie where they gave up and just decided to improvise for no reason. And so I think it kind of falters as a result of that. But this is a direct sequel to Ghostbusters 2 that does not appear to be acknowledging the events of 2016, which I think was intended to be a separated reboot. I think one of the interesting things, just more of a fun facty type thing about this, is it's directed by the son of the guy that directed the first Ghostbusters. So it's kind of a cool legacy kind of thing.
That's cool. Dan Aykroyd's cool too. I don't know if you've ever. I listen to Dan Aykroyd on Joe Rogan's podcast. That dude's pretty. He's a pretty interesting guy. He owns a vodka company for sure. I think he owns the Crystal Head vodkas. You ever seen those? You would go to the liquor store and you see the crystal heads. He's a big alien guy. He owns that. He has got a stake in that company. Big one.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Did not know that.
Little fun fact for you.
I think people are not loving this trailer in the sense that it just doesn't look like it's really that similar in tone and feel to Ghostbusters 1 and 2. It seems to be closer to a Super 8, to a Stranger Things. Obviously,
I'm okay with
Wolfhard
that.
Being
That's
involved
totally okay.
is kind of something that's not helping with that comparison. I agree. It's doing its own thing.
What's his face in it? It's gonna be great.
It's got Paul Rudd.
Yeah, it's got Paul Rudd in it. Right.
It's got fucking Paul Rudd in it. So yeah, I mean,
take your opinion and shove it up your ass. It's got Paul Rudd in it. What the?
I'll fucking shove you in those little Ghostbusters traps. That's what I'll do.
Paul Rudd's fucking great. It's gonna be great.
I'm excited about it. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think when is it? This must be a summer release too. Yep, July 10th, 2020. I think that might be the same day as Free Guy. I don't know.
Oh God, I know which one we're covering.
Well, I can tell you which one I have more interest in based on obviously the conversation we've just had. But,
I would agree. Yeah, it's fun. It's totally fun.
No, I'm excited. I'm curious to see how it turns out, and I like the vibe that they're going for. Maybe that's controversial to say, but I like that it's doing its own thing, and I think that I honestly feel like what we saw in this trailer is probably going to be close to the first 30 minutes to hour of this movie, and I think there's a lot that we haven't seen about this movie just yet. That's just how I feel about it, but anyway.
Last trailer.
We
got a new trailer for Disney's Mulan. And I am excited about Mulan.
Okay. I like what I saw.
I like the cartoon a whole lot.
And this is not that, obviously.
This is not that. But I think what we're going to get is going to be cool. It's going to be a fresh take on Mulan. Maybe not completely fresh, but I like how they're making. There's hallmarks and callbacks to the original soundtrack, which is cool.
Right. So yeah, I mean, this isn't a musical. I think that's probably pretty important to note off the top in terms of it being an adaptation of the classic animated film. Coming off the back of The Lion King, this is kind of more what I like to see Disney do, is not literally just make the same fucking movie over again. Like, if it looks different, it feels different. Like, it almost feels like it feels like it's kind of sharing more DNA with a kind of Hong Kong or Chinese like martial arts kind of film. Just cool. In terms of the style and the feel of it. Yeah, I can definitely get those vibes from it. And
that's totally fine. It's cool.
And I think that's fun. I think that's cool. And I think that you'll see the classic songs kind of be incorporated in orchestral form as opposed to vocal form. So I feel like it's gonna be similar, I think, overall. But I like that they're doing something just a little bit different, a little bit something new with it,
Yeah.
Even if it's not quote unquote new, obviously, because it's an adaptation. I feel like at least they're, I don't know.
I think it's cool to make, what's the main bad guy? What's his name? Han? Not Han. Is it Han?
Han Solo?
No, not Han Solo. What the fuck is his name? What's the main bad guy's name in Mulan? Hut. He's a Hut. And God damn it, I got Star Wars. He's
Jabba the Hutt?
Attila the Hun.
Who it is?
He's a Hun. He's totally a Hun. He's like supposed to be a Mongolian, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the name, to be honest.
God damn it. Anyways, the main bad guy in the cartoon, he had this like long-haired guy that would like see things through his hawk and stuff. He'd send that hawk everywhere. They just made her like a sorcerer, which is pretty cool. She can like morph into the hawk. She is the hawk.
Shan Yu?
Yeah, Shan Yu.
Yeah, that's what I just looked it up. That was the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's his name.
That's the main bad guy?
He's the evil leader of the Hun army, so I think that's...
The Hun army, okay. That's it. Okay, I was close. Pretty close. Yeah. Anyways, so they made her a witch, which is pretty cool. She can morph into the hawk, the big bird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't look like we have an Eddie Murphy Mushu.
No, there's no Mushu or anything like that, or an equivalent here.
Well, they're going to have the Phoenix. The Phoenix plays some sort of role.
Yeah, I guess, but it's It's very different, obviously.
It's going to be very different. Anyways, it looks like a really cool movie. I'm really excited about it. I think it's we have 2 well-made trailers, in my opinion. And it looks pretty cool. It looks different. It looks fresh. And it looks different enough from the cartoon to be worthwhile. So
again, I think that's what gets me most excited is that it's a different take on it. You'll always have the animated film. I think that's true of any reboot, remake, whatever you want to do, is you'll always have the original. And if this does something different and it does it well, maybe it's not better. Fine, you know what I mean? Like, it's at least doing something a little bit different. I don't know. I'm still feeling a little stung by The Lion King of just being like, wow, you went through all that effort and spent all that money to just give us the same fucking movie. Like, I don't know. It just kind of weirds me out that was what they did.
It's hard to do a different... I mean, I think it's kind of different. I don't know where you could have gone with The Lion King besides change the animation. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that would have been something, but I just think that they needed to modify the story to match the animation, if nothing else, or modify
Mufasa,
the animation.
The main
to
lion
match
of
the
his
story.
pride, goes out and seeks vengeance on the hyenas who have antagonized his son. You know, and he goes out there and
doing the David Attenborough narration.
Yeah. It would have been excellent. That would have been awesome.
It probably would have been better, man. I don't think it would have made as much money, but it would have been better.
But yeah, I'm excited about it. So now we can talk about our main feature, main content.
Side note, Mulan coming out March 27th. So I think that might be the soonest of any of the 6 films we've mentioned thus far. Now, the 7th film is Knives Out, which we did not have a trailer for. We have the whole movie to talk about. How about that?
Woohoo!
Written and directed by Rian Johnson. Star Wars The Last Jedi's Rian Johnson. We should mention Looper, Brick. Good director. It's got a great ensemble cast with the likes of Daniel Craig, Chris Evans,
James Bond,
Captain America, Ana de Armas.
Oh, Joy.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
She's played
whatever
in a lot
her character's
of movies.
name is Halloween.
There we go.
Laurie Strode.
There you go.
Michael Shannon.
The bad guy from Guillermo del Toro's
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water, yeah.
Also General Zod.
Yep.
Well, Don Johnson, a.k.a.
Don the fucking Johnson.
Correct. Toni Collette.
The
mom from Hereditary.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Lakeith Stanfield. Sorry to bother you.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Catherine Langford. Missed not appearing in Avengers Endgame because my role got cut.
Shots fired.
Jade Martell from It. He was Bill.
Yeah.
And Christopher Plummer, a.k.a. the man that takes over all of Kevin Spacey's roles from here on out. So, yes, we have alter egos for everyone. And Knives Out, a detective investigates the death of a patriarch of an eccentric, combative family. Let's briefly talk some box office. It's, again, been some time since it came out. $26.8 million in its opening weekend. I think it might have opened up at the same weekend as Frozen 2, which kind of crushed everything in sight, as you might expect it would. I don't think this is a movie that's necessarily built to dominate the box office, but that feels like a pretty good result overall to my untrained eyes, or maybe they're trained. I don't know. Depends on your perspective.
What's the budget? I mean, it's got to have a.
I think it's listed at like 40 or 50, something like that. Pretty low overall in the scheme of things.
I mean, most of it had to go to the cast, I'm sure.
I would imagine. Yeah. Worldwide, it's just worldwide in general. It's at. I guess domestic total, it's at 67 so far. So I think it's surpassed its budget domestically alone. And worldwide, it's at $128 million. And it is a movie I think that will probably consistently do well until it's out of theaters. I don't think it's not gonna be number one, but it feels like a movie that'll hang out in the top 10 for a long time. I just think it's a movie that I think the word of mouth, I think, will generate a lot of buzz for it, and I think that people will be interested in repeat viewings and stuff like that, and tell their friends, you got to see this and stuff like that. I think it's just a movie I feel that's going to have a mainstay, and especially with the holiday season, with people flocking to theaters more and more, it's one that I feel like is kind of designed to last, which is good. Non-spoilers. non-spoiler coverage. It's been some time since you've seen the movie. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, it's got to be, week and a half, 2 weeks maybe?
All right, so you're not exactly fresh in terms of memory, so I won't ask you too many specific plot details or anything at this point. Not that I would. We're not spoilers. I think it's a memorable film.
Yeah,
I would say,
sure.
Off the top. So, but anyway, yeah, I was just going to ask you. It's been some time, obviously, but what are your impressions now, a week and a half later or such?
A week and a half later, I remember it fondly. I enjoyed it. It's well written. I remember it being pretty tight. I remember it being very tight. I don't think that it. I didn't find the like. What's the word? How do I say it? I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I didn't find it overly like, oh my God, that person did it, but I enjoyed the ride. I didn't think it was overly surprising, but
okay. You're the second person I've talked to that has said as much. And I would agree in the sense that at least for me, it wasn't so much about whodunit in terms of what was surprising in any sort of way. It was more of the mechanics of how that happened. And
it was more of the character's realization of
yeah, and
how
it happened. And I think I would say, which
isn't a shortcoming of the movie. That's just the way it's structured.
I think that and it's interesting because I think the structure is kind of one of the strong points of this movie. In the sense that it puts all the pieces on the board for you pretty quickly too. You know what I mean? Like it kind of, and it's not a movie that sets one thing up for 2/3 and you think you know what's going to happen, and then it's just like, oh, surprise, fuck you, pull the rug out from under you. It doesn't do that. It doesn't try to do that. It's a movie that honestly gives you everything you need to figure it out and lets you kind of do the legwork if you want to do it. You don't have to do it because it'll tell you by the end, you know what I mean? It'll explain everything so that it all kind of falls into place, so that even if you weren't really trying to be detective the entire time, if you weren't trying to try to play that role too, you still have, I think, kind of the satisfaction of seeing all the pieces on the board come together. But it lays it all out for you to see. I kind of like that about it, in the sense that it doesn't feel like it's. I mean, like I said, I didn't pick up on everything myself. I'm not touting myself as a master detective or anything like that. And, but I would say that I appreciated and looking at it, and I think if I watched it again, I think there'd be a lot that you'd pick up on that would really kind of solidify it as, I think, a really just well-written movie. You know what I mean? There's no egregious plot holes of just like, well, if that's true, then that doesn't make any sense. Like, no. Like, I think it's all there. You know what I mean? It really is all there. I think that's kind of the fun thing about it.
It's shot really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's well acted, and I think just overall it's a lot of fun. It's the characters
funny movie too.
It is.
The humor is on point, I thought.
Mm-hmm. The characters are very entertaining though. They're well realized. They're well rounded. They're believable people, I think. Which is, it just makes it I don't know, it makes it a really fun movie. It's a really fun movie. And that's what I would take away from it. It's a real fun. It's not like the most mysterious movie in the world. I wasn't concerned so much as trying to figure out the mystery of it. It was more entertaining to just sit back and watch the characters kind of do their own thing, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Like I said, I will fully concede that I didn't put all the pieces together until they were completely laid out. There were things that I got, things that I guessed, things that I understood, but I didn't quite get it all at the top. But I do agree. I really think that it's not about that. I think that you should probably know that walking in, if nothing else, in the sense that don't expect it to be the most surprising film you've ever seen. I think it really is more about enjoying the ride of it in terms of kind of how it's constructed. I think I'll get into that commentary a little bit more in spoilers because I don't want to totally explain what I mean by that. But I think it's a film that The structure of it is a little bit untraditional for the type of film that it is, as a whodunit, a Clue-esque kind of movie. And I think that the more enjoyable thing of it is just the moment-to-moment, scenes, really. I mean, is you have an amazing fucking cast chewing the scenery, and everyone kind of chews the scenery in their own sort of way, which is great. Daniel Craig is obviously incredible as Benoit Blanc here.
Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas is fantastic. I think this is probably the meatiest role I've ever seen her with. I mean, she's great as Joy. Excited to see her in Bond. I don't know that I've seen her anything else, to be honest. But I feel like this is she's basically the lead character, as it turns out, in this movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. And she owns this role. She owns this role. But I think everyone else kind of has like more of a bit role where they can kind of chew the scenery, and she has to kind of be this character that's very distinctive from the other. She's like the only character in this movie that's not a complete fucking asshole, basically, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone else is kind of playing like a different shade of asshole, which is really, really fun to watch. It's kind of the Always Sunny in Philadelphia appeal of, oh my God, these are horrible people. I cannot help but watch. It really does have that sort of feeling. Except for Daniel Craig. I think, he's just kind of a weird pulpy noir detective, just kind of plucked out of, a 1930s novel or whatever, or, something like that, and kind of just dropped into this weird kind of setting with this dysfunctional family. It's great. And even like the cops are kind of somewhat extensions of that. Like Keith Stanfield's kind of just he's just like a regular dude, and then the other cop is like a weird fanboy of everything. It's very overexcited about everything. I said the cast I think is a huge standout. I don't think there's a weak link in this cast, and I think some characters get more play than others for sure. But I think everyone is great. It's fun to see. I think I don't know. I haven't seen some of these. I don't know. I would say like Toni Collette, the last thing I saw her in was Hereditary. And so to see her, playing Joni here, who was kind of like...
stark difference, for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a fun kind of difference to kind of just have walking in and see her kind of playing this character and doing it really well.
It's really cool because every character's just got this bold character arc. You know what I mean? They're very bold... caricatures of certain what's the word I'm looking for? They play very particular people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're just very accentuated to portray certain things. There's a archetype. They're archetypes. That's my word.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every character
good word.
Yeah, every character in this movie portrays a certain archetype, and it's just super pronounced, and it's accentuated in such a way to where it makes them, just really interesting and fun to watch. Just because it's like looking at a cartoon, like when they do the sketches out, and like Jay Leno's chin is like 14 foot long, and it's just super accentuated. It's like that in this, where every character plays a role that they're, just over the top in one particular way or another. And it's, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for for a whodunit movie.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen a movie like this in a while, to be honest. I feel like that probably helped with my enjoyment too. It almost feels like a genre of a yesteryear.
Fun fact, not really fun fact, hot take, not really even a hot take.
Hot take.
The bartender at the so when I go see my movies at the Brandon movie theater, I usually get a Long Island iced tea. If it's a longer movie, I'd get 2 Long Island iced teas. And I go and I sit down and I enjoy my movie. So he was prepping me 2 Long Island iced teas because it's a little bit of a longer movie. And he was like, "Oh, it's a whodunit movie, and it's kind of I haven't seen one of these in a long time, and I feel like this genre is coming back around." And I was like, "Well, they just came out with the Murder on the Orient Express."
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And I feel like that's the what kicked off the whodunit movie. We got that whodunit movie, we got this one, and then we have the sequel coming out to the Orient Express. And I feel like these movies might be seeing a resurgence of putting the pieces together, which is kind of fun, in a super accentuated way to where you know what you're going into when you go to see these movies.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah. No, that's a good call. And obviously, I think probably one of the differences is Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, adaptations of Agatha Christie novels written a long time ago, shall we say, and I think intended to be faithful adaptations, whereas this feels like it's taking the genre and kind of running with it and throwing, political commentary into it and in a humorous kind of way, in a way that I guess I didn't expect it to, but it kind of crushed it really well.
Just made it a modern whodunit is what it is.
Right, yeah, and it really was a good modernization. Like, it wasn't designed to be a period piece, because it wasn't. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that it took a kind of genre that is often not seen, I guess, in more of a modernized setting, and throw it in there and add a dash of this, a dash of that. I thought it was really well done. I mean, I think in terms of the genre itself, yes, maybe the mystery isn't the most elaborate. Maybe it's not the most...
But at the same time, it wasn't
to pick out.
It wasn't intended to be that either, though.
No, and again, I think this film thrives not just by virtue of its cast or the humor. I really think the editing of this film, I think it's more interesting in terms of how it doles out the information to you. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a nonlinear storytelling capacity. There's interviews and stuff like that, flashbacks here and there, and kind of. I think that. I think there's a really interesting wrinkle that happens in this movie pretty early on that I wasn't expecting to happen, and I think it kind of runs with that, and I think that's for me what makes it effective for what it's doing, at what it's doing, I guess. So yeah, I was a big fan of this one. Trying to think if there's any other real non-spoiler thoughts I can touch on. Well, I'm blanking, so that usually means no. So, recommendation?
I highly recommend this movie.
Okay.
I don't think there's any huge formats or anything you're going to be able to catch it in right now, but...
I don't think it was offered anything anyway.
Yeah, if you can...
I think Frozen 2 was swallowing all the IMAXs and Dolbys and such, and the big Ds and such, so... Oh my god.
Frozen 2 was swallowing the big Ds.
It's a kid's movie. What are you doing? You can't. Whoa.
No, but I think it's definitely a movie worth watching. It's worth investing the time and the effort and everything else that goes along with dedicating, 2 hours? Is it 2 hours, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, I think it's just north of 2 hours. I think 2 hours 10, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the time. It's a good piece of art. It's a good movie.
For sure. I recommend seeing it in theaters. I think this is, again, going to be one that will be out there for a while. To me, this feels like it's a good Christmas movie. I mean, obviously Star Wars is going to be out around Christmas time and stuff like that, but if you're searching for something that's kind of not that at all, that's a little bit more low-key, that's more enjoyable, and you're looking for a ride and you kind of want a mystery to kind of, involve yourself in, I think this is a perfect film. I think it's about as good as you can do with this genre. I really do. So,
yeah.
And it's a genre I don't think that you see all too often. Obviously, we've seen it more often than I initially realized, but I still don't think you see it very often. So if this marks a renaissance of it, then I think it's a well-deserved kind of kickoff to that. So
they're fun movies to go and watch.
See it in theaters. It's fun. It's fun to just sit there and enjoy it. Like this movie's presentation is stellar. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't leave you bored. I think it's well paced. It really keeps you engaged, and just when you think you might think of something, I think the editing is just so well done in this that it always keeps you engaged, whether it's through humor or whether it's just literally just through the mystery of it. And even if you know, I think if you watch this knowing exactly how it's going to fold out, I think there's just layers to it. I think that would enhance your experience in some sort of way. So,
right.
I don't know, just my take on it. Obviously I liked it though. So go see it in theaters, I say. Andrew says too. Let's do spoilers. Full spoilers for Knives Out. Damn it, Captain America! How could you?
What a dickhead!
He was. Well, dude, again, everyone was a bit of an asshole, but he was like maybe he's not an. Oh no, he's an asshole. Oh, okay.
I think he was probably the worst asshole. Actually, I thought it was hilarious that they kept calling out the Nazi son. The Nazi kid who was sitting in the bathroom.
He's masturbating in the bathroom.
It's good. There's a lot of humor in this movie that's, I don't know. the whole family hates each other, and it's I don't know. It's just like I said, it's a lot of fun. I don't have a whole lot to go off of.
Yeah, the family dynamic is I kind of think what makes this movie. You know what I mean? Like it's not even if you're finding the mystery lacking because it's not overly surprising. Like just the family themselves, I think, are entertaining enough to keep you engaged for 2 hours of, you know, whether it's just them yelling at each other, eat shit, eat shit, eat shit, eat shit. You definitely eat shit. You know, like it's fun. And you have this Marta character who's kind of stuck in the middle of all of it. And just the situations that kind of unfold are just awesome. I mean, the reading of the will was
hilarious. Yeah.
It was an incredible scene. And there's just little dashes of humor throughout. Like that was the dumbest car chase, stuff like that. Like it's fun. I really had a good time with it. I mean, I think Daniel Craig has kind of said that he would be open to doing more Benoit Blanc films, and I'm so down. I'm so down for more Benoit Blanc. He was so fun. Even just his introduction with the fucking piano key.
Yeah.
Just, who the fuck is this guy?
I laughed my ass off so hard during that.
I was cracking up through most of this movie.
During those interview scenes. It's hilarious.
You think I'm going to give up any of my family secrets? I know your shit. And then fucking Don the fucking Johnson's just giving everyone away. It was good. The editing is so tight. So let me kind of expand on maybe what I was talking about earlier, non-spoilers, since I'm on the topic. I loved that they basically revealed 20 to 30 minutes into this movie that there was the quote-unquote switch of the drugs. And basically, we learn that Marta thinks she's responsible for the death, and for all intents and purposes, the audience is not any wiser to that, at least at that point overall, I would say. And it's kind of interesting because it kind of gives you the who, sort of, Marta. And then it kind of flips it around, obviously, by the end. But I feel like most movies of this nature would wait until an hour and a half to give you that. You know what I mean? And so I think when it gives you that, I think it kind of just keeps you on your toes overall of just being like, oh, fuck, like, well, that's an interesting nugget of information. Like, when I first, like, as I was watching it, I was kind of just being like, did this actually happen? Or is this like a Benoit Blanc's having like a vision, you know, he's doing a Sherlock thing, and it was just like, well, what if it was the nurse that did this, you know? I suspect foul play. I have eliminated no suspects.
It's a pretty good a pretty good accent. I think you could play Benoit Blanc.
I could play. I think I'm a Benoit Blanc type. All right.
Well,
I need to find my donut speech and give it to you real quick.
A donut within a donut, but you take that hole within the donut.
But that hole is not a hole. It is a donut with its own hole.
It's good. The movie's fucking great.
Yeah, and the dialogue is sharp and it's witty. And you know, I said when it's political, it hits hard and hits truthfully. And then when it's just designed to be, I think, kind of just more outwardly funny, you know, even regardless of your feelings on politics, I think it still works.
There was a lot of political banter in this movie.
No, there's definitely stuff in there that, I mean, the Don the fucking Johnson, you know, talking about like, oh, you immigrated here, you know, legally, and, you know, good for you. And then he just hands her the fucking plate.
Yeah.
I read that was improvised, apparently.
It was pretty fucking awesome.
So Ana de Armas's reaction of just being like, what the fuck do I do with this plate is kind of just a genuine, but it's also like just perfect. Like it's just
Don the fucking Johnson on point.
Don the fucking Johnson, man. The running joke of no one actually knowing where she's from, and so they just make up a different South American country every time was incredible. Quite enjoyed that. It's good. I mean, it said it's a bunch of assholes. There's no doubt about that. But they were entertaining assholes at that.
What was your? Was that what your big spoiler? Your twist was in the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, I just didn't want to like tip my hand and say that. Oh yeah, you find out like kind of what happes with Marta and such 20 minutes into the movie.
Every time they talked about Marta, by the way, I couldn't help that name. That name is what? Job's lady friend and
Arrested Development.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, Martha. Yeah.
every time.
Well, and sort of Michael's lady friend at one point.
That's
in time
true.
as well.
It's true. Love triangle.
Who is this hermano guy? Hermano.
Anyways, it's a great movie, and I mean, I don't know. I don't have too much of the spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, the movie tells you what happens, right? You know, it's no secret, obviously, by the end of this movie, how things play out in the manner that they play out, and that will either surprise you or it won't. You know, it's as simple as that. But I think that there's enough.
I thought it was pretty awesome how she kept trying to cover up her trails after they were, you know, you need to come with us. Fun. You need to come with us on this journey. And, you know, she's trying to hide everything. She throws that piece of lattice work and she throws it for the dog to catch.
the dog brings it back.
She's walking all over the mud, you know. It's
yeah.
I don't know, all sorts of little stuff. It's good.
Yeah. I liked the mom character. I guess it was the great grandmom character, you know. Ransom, are you back again? Hey, mom, do you need to eat anything? She just ate the whole salmon platter. Anyway. I don't know. There's probably other things we could talk about, but
if you can bring it up, it's hard for me to like pull because it's like a week and a half.
It's true. It's been a while for you. That's fair. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, you know, it's a heartbreaking story of kind of, she actually was a good nurse. You know, she had a good heart, and that was, you know, kind of an interesting thing. And, you know, Christopher Plummer didn't actually need to kill himself. So, I don't know. It was kind of one of those, like, kind of moments. And, you know,
I like the trap door, the window, the fake window.
Like the window. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
I like how the whole home was essentially different pieces from his different books, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw someone online kind of speculate that maybe he had faked his own death as to like do like a real life version of one of his own kind of books.
You know what? To be honest with you, and
I had a suspicion of that kind of partially through the movie, and I kind of was just like, well, and like this was like what as soon as they kind of showed what happened with Marta and stuff, I was just
he made the whole claim about
the
prop knife. And that's what it was.
Yeah,
the whole time I was waiting for that to happen because he made the one-off comment about the prop knife before he killed himself. And then obviously it was a prop knife that he tried to stab Marta with.
Mm-hmm.
But
God damn it, Captain America, what are you even doing? I
thought it was funny. She threw up all over his face, which is pretty great. That was pretty
yeah, and that was a fun kind of plot device of her. It was a fun wrinkle of like she can't lie. Or she has an immediate tell. Like, it was just a good kind of way to put her in situations where she has to be really kind of quick on her feet or tell half-truths and stuff like that. Like, it was a good way of... It's a fun way of writing the movie. Like, it's something that makes it more complicating for the character. But I think it goes to the intricacy of the writing of working around that and not breaking those rules, and then actually having it kind of be an ultimate payoff for the conclusion of the film. Like it's a really well done kind of plot device throughout. That's funny,
it's pretty cool.
You know, it's a fun plot device. It's kind of a weird, unique plot device, and it's done really well. I guess if I had one final thought, the final shot of this film is excellent. Fucking loved it.
Oh, with the coffee mug.
Yeah, she's sitting on the balcony with the coffee mug. Was it my house? My coffee, my rules, or something like that, and just everyone's just on the outskirts of the house looking up, and fuck, that was awesome. I loved that.
It's pretty great.
That's a good ending note for a movie. It's a damn good ending note for a film, right there.
It was thoroughly well made film. It was a very well made film.
Definitely.
So, I had a lot of fun with it, and we need more of them. I will take every whodunit film.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you have it. Knives Out, folks. Go see it. It's been a while. As I mentioned, it's been probably a month or so. Lots of things have happened. Thanksgiving's happened. Other days have happened. You know, Thanksgiving's not the only day that's happened in between recordings. So, what have you been up to? You talked about you took a trip. You've been watching some things. Anything, man?
So
what have you been up
to? I haven't been grinding it out because they want to release it weekly. But I've been watching The Mandalorian.
Of course.
I've been on a high Star Wars kick.
Sure.
I've been very excited. Everything Star Wars. I've tried to liquidate my pops. I haven't sold any pops yet. Maybe I don't know how to hustle well enough. I don't know. But I've tried to liquidate my pops. I've been, like I said, I'm caught up on the Mandalorian, which I think is incredible. I think Mandalorian is, I think it might be more Star Wars than a lot of stuff that's come out. I just feel like it very much is Star Wars. Which I don't know if that sounds weird. I don't know if I'm verbalizing that correctly.
I've heard similar sentiments online, like it's the most Star Wars-y thing that Disney has done. I've seen a lot of kind of sentiments to that effect.
I do. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I like Rian Johnson's Last Jedi. Okay, I think it's awesome. But this just feels wholeheartedly Star Wars. It feels like the animated films, the animated cartoons, and just live actions. And Dave Filoni's got a lot of play in that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it really does feel like that. It's interesting because I think it's for me it's good and bad. I think there's some give and take with that in the sense that I feel like the films are a little bit more meaty as a result of just kind of what they're going for.
Half-hour segments are tough.
But I appreciate what it's doing because I really haven't seen anything like it in a while.
No.
You know what I mean? Like it's not a heavily serialized type of storytelling. It's really just like episode to episode of the Mando and Yiddle kind of hanging out in whatever location that they happen to settle on. You know what I mean? So it's fun. I enjoy it.
I will make the comment.
But I think some episodes end up being better than others as a result of that type of storytelling, for me personally.
No, I totally agree. I will take the comment of Sarah's dad's actually watching this film, the show as well.
The show?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I've got him on the Mando kick. And he did make a very, as far as the last episode, it feels like it might be potentially kind of samey within a couple of episodes. You know, he settles in, he finds somebody to work with, and they do something, and then it bounces off to the next planet. So I'm curious to see where it goes off because the last episode
it's got to start winding down. You know what I mean? There's only 8 episodes in the season, so
yeah,
you've got 3 to go with 1 dropping in just a few hours now. So
yeah, so hopefully it takes it in kind of a different direction because I totally agree. It kind of feels the episodes they're starting to lean into kind of samey episodes. I think. At least the past 2 episodes have been that way.
No, for sure. Very similar structures, just different settings, kind of.
Exactly. So we'll see where it goes, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I started The Shining on an audiobook.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I downloaded a bunch of Stephen King books with my extra tokens in Audible, and so I kicked it off with The Shining. I also have the sequel, which is the Dr. Sleep, yep. And then I also have, I think, Dark Tower, I believe, in it.
Nice. So going on a King kick a little bit?
I'm going on a King kick. I think I've wore out the Neil Gaiman. I went on a Neil Gaiman kick there for a while. And so now I'm starting a Stephen King kick, and I can say that I'm like 8 chapters in to Stephen King's The Shining.
The Shining.
I am impressed. He's a pretty good author. I'm not, like I said, I'm not reading it. I'm listening to it, but just, you know, the way it's written is tight. It's very good. So I can't say I'm a fan. I'm not the biggest fan of the person reading it.
I see. But well, that's the danger of audiobooks sometimes.
That's it. But you can still appreciate the way it's written. So I'm still able to engage and everything. I actually been working around the house a lot, and I built a fire pit in the backyard. With I cemented a 12-foot pole in the backyard, and hung some string lights and stuff, and then I built a fire pit in a certain area in my backyard, and I lit a fire last night in the fire pit area. I poured myself some wine, and I just listened to the audiobook for probably like 30 minutes, and it was awesome. It's fucking cool. Yeah, that's another thing that segues into, I've been working around the house a lot lately. The HOA said I needed to paint the house, so I had the house painted. I built a fire pit. I now have a garage. I cleaned up my garage, since I moved into my house, since I moved out of an apartment, and, pretty much anything extra went into to the garage since I moved in because the garage is kind of wonky, didn't work. And so the guy that painted the house actually painted the garage doors panels. And since I was having the garage door panels, I figured I would go ahead and have the garage fixed. And I'd put a new panel on I had a denim panel on my garage door. So I got a new panel, and I'm having somebody come out and fix the garages so they'll work and operate like garage doors, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And over the almost the past decade, the garage just got filled with shit. I mean, it's just full of shit. So I think 8 trips to the dump, cleaned out the garage, and now I have a garage. And tomorrow, as of this recording, they come out and they actually install a new garage door opener, and they're going to fix my garage, which is cool. Nice. And then, and so I'm going to have a functioning garage, which is awesome. And, like I said, I installed the fire pit, which is cool. A lot of housework and stuff's been going on, which is...
I've seen lots of pictures on the Facebook, which it looks like a very different home than I'm accustomed to. So.
Yeah, it's going to be totally different. It feels like a different home, too.
That's good, though.
Yeah, it's totally good. There's a lot to be said about a woman's touch. So
no disputing that.
Yes.
No disputing that at all.
So I've caught up on. I haven't caught up on it. I've seen them many times, but I watched the original trilogy of Star Wars, which is outstanding. They're very good films. I'm about to break into the original trilogy, which I remember.
Prequel trilogy?
Yeah. They have to be watched. But they are what they are.
Just got to grind them out, man. Just got to grind them out.
I finished the last season of Rebels.
Nice.
Which I had
it's on Disney Plus, right? Is that how you watched it?
Exactly. It was on Disney
Very
Plus,
cool.
so I've finished that. I added the new Star Wars video game on my Christmas list, so hopefully somebody or Santa gets me that Jedi game because
Santa. I know Santa listens to this fucking podcast. He's like, oh, these guys have been pretty naughty this year, so
I'm pretty excited. I really want to play that video game. If nobody gets it to me for Christmas, day 2 of Christmas, I'm going to spend that Christmas break playing that video game. I'm excited to play it. What else is there? I watched Bad Santa last night.
Nice. Yeah. Classic Christmas film.
Yeah, which is it's a I don't know. It's a pretty funny movie. I enjoyed it. I hadn't seen it.
I haven't seen it in a while. I always liked that one.
Yeah. What else did we watch? Home Alone. Let me tell you about Home Alone. Home Alone, I think, may be my favorite Christmas movie. I love fucking Home Alone. Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Home Alone 2 gets a little... I mean, like, you're setting some very fucking dangerous traps in Home Alone 2. It gets a little crazy. But Home Alone 1 is just straight up humorous. It's slow build, and then once you finally get to where they're breaking into the house, it's awesome. It's so good. Really, really enjoy me Home Alone.
You been on like a Christmas movie kick or anything? It kind of seems like you're starting on that.
Yeah, a little bit. So I watched The Grinch. Jim Carrey's The Grinch.
Okay.
I don't think that's what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it. Jim Carrey's The Grinch.
Well, there's the new one that came out, like the animated one. So I feel
still
like
haven't seen that one.
Oh, I haven't either. And then there's like the classic animated one too, the 2D hand animated one. I don't know what year that came out, but before Jim Carrey's. So Jim Carrey's The Grinch.
Yeah, which is I think I know every line of dialogue to that movie.
How many times have you seen it?
I've seen it a lot of times.
I guess so.
A lot of times.
All right, fair enough.
It's a pretty great Christmas movie.
I haven't seen it in a while.
I feel like it's really cool. You know, I think it's. I made this parallel. I don't know if I'm getting a little too artistic here. You can say, yeah, you're fucking out in the weeds. But I was sitting there and I was watching The Grinch and I was drinking a little bit of. I've been drinking a lot of wine lately. Been on a big wine kick lately. Had not a lot of beer, just a lot of wine.
Okay.
And I was sitting there and I was enjoying The Grinch and I was watching it. And The Grinch is almost a parallel, like the way his character's written. how he's nasty and mean and everything else. He's almost like the byproduct of the commercialism in the Who's in Whoville, right? Like they're all concerned about Christmas and this and that, and it's all dysfunctional, it's all crazy, and it's all about the presents and this and that, and it's, you know, it's all this craziness, right? And they lost the true side of Christmas, and the Grinch ends up finding the sense of Christmas as well in the movie, and it's actually really good. It's a really good, it's a well-written movie. I don't know if you know what I mean if you haven't seen it in a while, but all the Who's were all crazy, and they're all concerned about, like I said, the packages and stuff, and then the Grinch is just nasty in general. You know, he doesn't like Christmas, he doesn't like people, this and that, and then they all kind of he ends up pulling all the Christmas away, pulls up all the packages, and then he ends up saying, you know, it doesn't come in bows and packages and blah, 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 you know, and it's just about each other, and it's a really nice Christmas movie. It is a really good Christmas movie, The fucking Grinch. It's good. And I really like Jim Carrey as the fucking Grinch. I think he's excellent. It's pretty great.
How did you watch it? That's the question.
What do you mean?
Do you have it on Blu-ray, or is it streaming somewhere? Or?
I want to say I definitely didn't put it in. I own it on Blu-ray, but I streamed it.
I was just curious if there's an easy way to watch it.
I think I streamed it I think it might be on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. It's on something. I streamed it. I don't know which one I streamed it on, but I streamed it.
Right. I might have to take a look into that then.
It's good. It's a fucking good movie, dude.
I haven't seen it in ages. I really have not seen it in ages. So
yeah, no, it's fucking Christmas.
The story of the Grinch is a classic Christmas story.
Although, let me tell you something. Fucking Home Alone is stellar. Home Alone is fucking incredible.
I have my own favorite Christmas movie. It's not.
What's that?
It's not Home Alone. It's The Muppets Christmas Carol, which is fucking excellent.
Never seen that. I've never ever seen that.
It's on Disney Plus, so you should check it out. Okay,
The Muppets Christmas Carol. I have to. I'll watch it. We'll watch it.
It's a good one. Definitely a good one.
What else have I been doing?
Christmas Story is classic too for me.
Oh, I got a new hobby. So for Christmas, or not, I guess it is for Christmas in a way, but my dad purchased that place out in Blue Ridge, right?
Right, up in Georgia.
Up in Georgia. So for Thanksgiving, we went out there, and my dad bought a KTM 500 EXCF, which is or EXCF 500, I guess is the way to say it. But it's an enduro, right? It's a dirt bike that you can ride on the road. And my Uncle Tom purchased two Yamaha enduros. So I rode because he purchased one for his Uncle Tom's cousin Gary, right? So I rode Gary's enduro, Tom rode his enduro, and my dad rode his enduro. And for Thanksgiving, we went on a trip through the mountains, and I used to do the dirt bikes, as you know. And I hadn't been on a dirt bike in probably close to a decade. It's been a very long time since I've been on a dirt bike, since I was probably like 16. Anyway, so we rode the dirt bikes and stuff through the mountains, and it was awesome. It was super fucking cool. So for Christmas, my dad ended up getting me the same dirt bike that he's got, which is that 500. Mm-hmm. And so I got a GPS unit for it and some saddlebags for it, and we're decking it out. And for Christmas, we're going to go up there to Blue Ridge and we're going to go riding. And I'm going to have a GPS unit, and I'm going to be able to plot where we've been and all this other stuff. I got some map apps on my phone, and I'm super stoked to be riding a dirt bike again. And it's going to be in completely different territory. Like I said, it's in Blue Ridge, Georgia, which is like kind of like the Smoky Mountains, I guess. So it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm very, very excited about that. So Christmas vacation, I will be, instead of skiing, normally we go skiing with the family. I think we might be doing a little bit of skiing, but my goal is to plot out some map lines and stuff in Georgia and go dirt bike riding, which is pretty cool. I thoroughly enjoy that. So, but that's what I got, dude. That and Star Wars. I'm going to be excited about some Star Wars here in a week. So
Yeah, it's coming up in a week, man. Very soon. Cool. I have a pretty extensive list myself of things that I've been up to in the last month or so, which does not include the likes of exams and such, which are not very fun. I will tell you that much. I guess I'll start with kind of the things that are kind of responsive to what you've talked about already. Mandalorian, obviously, I've been keeping up on it. We talked a little bit on that. So,
are you pumped
excited.
every Friday?
I'm excited. I mean, it's almost Friday right now, which is excellent. The 6th episode comes out on Wednesday, by the way, just so you know. It'll be a couple days early, ahead of the Rise of Skywalker's release. So you got 2 episodes in less than a week. So that's
nice.
Pretty cool. But then we have to wait over a week for the final episode. So what are you going to do?
Fuck.
Or 2 more episodes, I guess, after that. Either way. No, that'll be the last episode after the Wednesday one. So it'll be a week and a half for the finale, I guess. But I saw Dr. Sleep, the movie.
Was it good?
Talked about the book. Obviously, I haven't gotten quite that far in terms of your listening yet, but I did see the movie, and I liked it quite a bit. Yeah.
So how big of a departure is it from like the genre of film that the first one is?
Well, it's to be honest, I watched it about 3 weeks ago now. So I rewatched The Shining. I had bought The Shining in 4K.
Nice.
Rewatched The Shining.
Good
before
fucking movie, right?
Oh, it's a fucking amazing movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's another thing to put on the list of things that I've done. Yeah, I rewatched that, and then maybe 2-3 days later saw Dr. Sleep with Anna, and there's a question about like the genre compared to the first one. Is that
That's the biggest thing. It felt like a completely different.
It's different.
Kind of
it's definitely a different movie. The whole aspect of The Shining itself is, I think, elevated more so in Dr. Sleep. I think that's kind of the principal focus is like the kind of telepathy and kind of related type things. Like that's really the biggest, I think, key to it. I mean, it's a totally different movie. It's one that it kind of plays as a sequel to the movie mostly. And it's different. It's different, I guess, but I don't know. I thought it was pretty good, and I like the cast in it a lot.
Did you like it as a standalone movie, or did you like it as a sequel?
I think it works well as a standalone movie, to be honest. I don't
Okay.
think you really need to have seen The Shining, because there's a lot of kind of recreations of certain kind of... Honestly, there's parts of it, I think, where they tried to recreate some of Kubrick's Shining a little too closely, and I kind of felt like it worked better as more of a standalone approach.
Gotcha.
Because Ewan McGregor is playing Danny Torrance all grown up, you know what I mean? So he still had the trauma of being at the Overlook Hotel with Jack and his mom and everything that kind of happens in The Shining, and he carries that with him into the movie, and it kind of fucks him up for a while, and he kind of has to come full circle with it and face it head on. So there's a lot of stuff, especially in the third act, that is really kind of responsive to his childhood trauma specifically. So I think that's probably the one moment where it kind of feels like, oh, if you haven't seen The Shining for full context, a lot of this probably is kind of weird. There's one sequence in particular, I think, which was added that I think, from what I understand, was not in the book, was added for the movie specifically, that felt more like a response to the Kubrick film itself.
Right.
Certainly an homage in terms of what the scene is, but I think it is designed also for plot purposes too. I guess overall, I think it works as a standalone thing. I think for most of it is a standalone thing, and I think it's really only the third act where it kind of leans into the Shining-esque, the most Shining-esque moments.
I can say, the guys from Ink to Film probably have a very, very, I know that they have a very in-depth episode on all this.
Right, yeah.
But I can say that, that I'm thoroughly interested to watch how they treat the second movie, because the first movie is so much Shining focused. I'm only 8 chapters in, and it's heavily, it's about Danny's telepathy. In a lot of ways. So far, the whole beginning of the book is explaining. It's not really explaining. It's just it's laying out the path for stuff to expand, all about the telepathy.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel like that was a real focus of Kubrick's film.
Definitely not. I mean, that's my only focal point, really. Is that movie, and I like that movie a lot. That's why I started my first Stephen King book with that movie, because I can kind of draw comparisons with it and stuff. And they've left out. I mean, as with
I think, to be fair, I think Stephen King notoriously hates Kubrick's adaptation of it, which it sounds like he probably departed in quite a few ways. So that's probably why
he did. He left a lot of stuff out. Albeit, I mean, Kubrick's movie is a very well made movie. I mean, I
think it's a fantastic film, but it's
not
having not read
the
novel. I think it's just a totally different thing. It's a totally different beast.
Right.
I think that Doctor Sleep, I will say this, feels much more Stephen King than Kubrick's The Shining does.
Which is kind of cool. That sounds interesting.
Like it feels a lot more like something he would write, or
like when you talk about how it's focused on the telepathy
it's much more concerned with that than The Shining ever was for the film itself. So
and that sounds
just
like
from your briefly what you're talking about, it really feels like it's probably more.
It's a big focal point in the first book too.
The book,
so.
yeah.
So I don't know.
Anyway, I enjoyed Dr. Sleep. I recommend seeing it. I think at this point it's probably out of theaters. I don't think it did terribly well, so I think you're probably stuck waiting for streaming or Blu-ray or whatever. But I enjoyed it. I think you'd enjoy it too. I think it's worth looking into. Ewan McGregor's great. Becca Ferguson is great. Leggy Bay from Mission Impossible. She's kind of the bad guy in it. The bad gal. I also saw Jojo Rabbit in theaters.
Oh yeah,
which I really, really enjoyed. I thought it was fantastic.
It looked really good.
It's got Taika Waititi in it, obviously, as
playing Hitler,
as Adolf. It's a super, super funny film. It's a somewhat obviously an unkilter film, but it was one that it took me about 15-20 minutes to kind of like accept it, because it was just going for it in terms of just being like, oh, I'm playing the goofy version of Hitler. Look at me, and I was just like, oh, I feel uncomfortable about this. But it really leans into that, and then by the end of the film, it's so well done. Like how the use of Hitler as a character is extremely well done throughout. I don't know the kid's name, but the main kid that plays Jojo is excellent in it. Sam Rockwell is amazing in it. Scarlett Johansson is good in it. So the cast is just excellent, and it tells a really, really fucking good story. And there's another kid in it that's really, really funny. What's that?
A lot of modern parallels drawn between then and now, or what?
Yeah, I guess kind of.
Or is it just a straight up Hitler movie?
No, it's a bit of both, I guess. I think there's a little bit more dramatic irony. You kind of see in the trailer of just being like, oh, all these people called me crazy, and look at them now. Just kind of the.
I got you.
There's stuff like that where once obviously you should know the story first of all, but if you know the story, then it kind of it makes things a little funnier. It's very well done. There's pretty much, I guess, kind of the most repeated kind of thing is the Nazis describing Jews as like basically like monsters with 10 rows of teeth, etc. Just super exaggerated type things, and the way it kind of grapples with that is actually really well done. And then by the end, it really just clicks. I thought it was superbly done. I was very impressed with it. So highly recommend seeing that. Again, another one. I'm not sure if it's in theaters anywhere at the moment, but definitely worth checking out whenever you get the opportunity to do so.
That and Parasite, I have two to watch that I couldn't.
Parasite's fucking excellent. Yeah, you're doing yourself anyone's doing themselves a disservice by not seeing Parasite. So again, see that whenever you can. What else on the movie front? That's it. I've seen in theaters. I have seen Frozen 2, but I'll hold off on that for now. Obviously, we'll talk about that. Rewatched Spider-Man Far From Home, First Man, when I was back home for Thanksgiving. Well, home, sort of, for Thanksgiving back in Virginia with my parents. We watched it. Good movies. Both still hold up. I watched a couple new movies, courtesy of Anna's recommendations. Moulin Rouge was the first one. I've never
your mom
seen
likes
it.
Moulin Rouge. Uta puta shemo lula.
It was not what I expected that movie to be at all. I'd never seen it in my life. I'd only seen the trailers. I knew about Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? And it really wasn't that. It was a very kind of. There's a lot. It's basically. Have you seen it? I guess I'll just ask you this because I just know that one
song. Is that one song in it?
It's sort of, yeah. So that's in there, but the whole movie is basically a bunch of modern songs, like kind of presented as like period type songs, like you know, like it takes place in a period, and it's intentionally anachronistic, and that it takes a bunch of modern songs and kind of, you know, has different send-ups of them as part of kind of the storyline in its own way. So there's like Nirvana in there, there's Madonna in there, the Police are in there. You know what I mean? Like it's very interesting. And it's a fun mashup, but the first 30 minutes, especially because I did not know what I was walking into, I felt overwhelmed by it. I was just like, what the fuck is this movie? and she loves this movie, so I was just like, I can't hate this movie. I'm not allowed to hate this movie. Like that will be a big problem.
It's probably a really good movie. I mean,
I think you have to. I think the first thing to know is know what it is walking in, which I didn't. I was not adequately prepared for what the movie was going to be. It's a very, very stylistically shot movie, very colorful. It's a very, very fun movie. But it just took me about 30 minutes to settle into it. But once I did, I enjoyed it. I just think that I wish I had settled in a little bit sooner. I think if I watched it a second time or a third time or something like that, I think that it would play better because I would know what to expect. But it was a fun movie to experience, and I can safely say that I don't hate one of her favorite movies, so I'm happy about that. We also watched Miracle after Thanksgiving.
That's the hockey movie
with Kurt Russell, which I'd never seen before either. That was a really good fucking movie. It was a really good movie.
I haven't seen Miracle. That one a lot. I just know it's a hockey movie, and
it's on Disney Plus.
Him,
so there
it's
you go.
Got him doing this right here, something like that.
Yeah,
right.
It's basically he's training a bunch of underdogs to be in the Olympics because at the time you couldn't use NHL players for the Olympic teams. So like the Soviets were like a super team with like the best players, and the American team was a bunch of scrappy, basically players out of college, more or less. So it's an underdog story. You know, it's a quintessential underdog sports story, but it's a well done version of it. And it's got a great Kurt Russell performance to anchor it. So
Kurt Russell's fucking cool. That's cool.
Kurt Russell's excellent, obviously. So definitely a great one. TV side of things, halfway through the first season of The Boys on Amazon. It's great.
How is that? Is it awesome?
It's a wild ass show. It is a fucking wild show, dude. It is violent, visceral, gross at times, very gross at times, not safe for work kind of show at times. It's a fun kind of irreverent take on superheroes. So basically the whole idea is there's a group of superheroes called the Seven, who are, you know, like the Justice League, except they're all assholes, basically, is more or less what the kind of story is. And so Carl Urban is kind of part of a group that's trying to take the superheroes down and kind of show the world that, like, these guys are real pricks or whatever. And many of them are real pricks. There's a guy named Homelander, and he's terrifying. He's basically bad Superman, but the most realistic, terrifying version of it, in the sense that he'll just laser someone in half and not give a fuck about it. Like it's that kind of show.
Essentially Zack Snyder's Superman.
Yeah, kind of, but except it actually makes more sense for his sensibilities. But it's also a funny show, and it's a weird show, and it's out there. It's good. I'm enjoying it so far. I don't know if everyone would like it. I think you would like it, though. I would say I think you would like it. I don't know if your significant other would like it, perhaps, but.
Sounds like something to get into after The Mandalorian, maybe.
I don't think it's a show for everyone, but I think it's a well-done version of what it is. So I'm enjoying it for that. I'd also like to check in on my Arrowverse rewatch, which I know you're very proud of me for.
Okay, yeah.
I'm 28 episodes in, which I believe is 7 more where I was as of last recording. So obviously my pace has slowed. But I'm up to the crossover of the seasons that I'm currently watching, the Crisis on Earth X, which is Nazis taking over and such. So, It's fine. It is what it is. You know how it goes. It's a compulsion at this point. Crisis on no, not what is it called? Infinite Crisis on blah blah blah. Whatever the shit is now. What the fuck is it called? Crisis on Infinite Earths is happening now. The first 3 episodes aired. The 4th and 5th parts will happen in January. I have kind of somewhat loosely followed kind of how things have gone just to kind of get a sense of it. And it seems pretty cool. So
I saw the Smallville guy chopping wood after one of the trailers we watched. I think after one of the trailer.
They brought a lot of fucking worlds into it, which is actually really cool. So I am watching to build myself up to be prepared for that. And obviously it'll be done airing by the time I'm caught up by a good margin, but that's my impetus for why I keep doing it. So I will keep doing it. I will press on. Let's see. That's pretty much it. So just quickly, I've been kind of playing some more disposable type Switch games, just to kind of break up the studying and such. Have you ever played a game called Celeste on the Switch? No. It's a platformer kind of game. It's kind of one of those games. I guess it's like a Meat Boy kind of game where it's like kind of hard kind of level designs, and you'll die every 5 seconds, but you just immediately respawn and keep doing it over and over again until you get it right. It's pretty fun. So it's a really cool design. I'm enjoying it a lot. Picked up the Rocket League a little bit, playing the Rocket League on the Switch a little bit. Getting back into it a little bit. It's not very good, but
don't you say that.
And I've also played a couple of your favorite games of all time, the Mega Man X series 1 and 2 I've played, because those are like, it's like comfort food for me, man. I played those games so many times. You can beat them in a few hours sitting. I've just been kind of like, I bought some other stuff on Black Friday. I would like to play Link's Awakening, but I'm just kind of like, I don't want to get sucked in anything like I did with Fire Emblem until I'm kind of free and clear of other responsibilities.
You the shit out of that game.
Which I still have 2 houses that I can play through on that. So, that's it. That's my long and winding list. So, that's pretty much it on my front. I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. If you want to support us on Patreon to get access to our forthcoming Star Wars bonus episode, I will, full disclosure, say it probably won't be on there for too long, because we'd like to get it out around the same time as the Rise of Skywalker content that we'll do. Nonetheless, our Patreon does offer other advantages. Any regular episode you'll have first access to ahead of everyone else. Just head to patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat or head over to our website, watchreviewrepeat.com. And you can sign up for a Patreon. It's $2 a month. Again, early access to regular episodes, first access, timed exclusive access to all of our bonus episodes that we do. So get on that if that's anything that appeals to you. We're on Twitter at WRRPod. We are on Facebook if you just search for Watch Review Repeat. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions,
please send them. We want
send them. WatchReviewRepeat@gmail.com. If there's anything you've been up to you want to talk about, I think The Expanse starts on Amazon tomorrow.
Fuck yeah, it does.
I haven't watched an episode, so my whole plan to rewatch has not happened.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Well, whole season drops tomorrow.
No.
Oh, it's all coming tomorrow. It's all coming tomorrow.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Sarah's going to be mad at me.
Oh, yeah. So that's something that, if you guys want to send us some hot takes on The Expanse, you want to send us some hot takes on Star Wars, how much you love The Last Jedi, how much you hate The Last Jedi, how much you think J.J. Abrams is going to ruin Star Wars, whatever you want to do. Frozen 2, we're going to be talking about pretty soon. If you want to send us some reacts to Frozen 2, whatever, we're all ears. It'd be cool. So do it. WatchReviewRepeat@gmail.com. Intro and outro track, Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Next episode, we'll hopefully be recording it next week sometime. We're going to be doing Frozen 2. Like I said, we're going a little bit backwards order, but we're going to circle back around and do Frozen 2. I've seen it. Andrew hasn't seen it as of yet, but that will be rectified shortly, and we'll be talking about it in some detail. And then I think it's pretty much going to be Star Wars season from that point on, if I had to guess. So look forward to some good stuff coming out, and hopefully once Frozen and Star Wars comes out, we can kind of get a little bit more of a routine going. I'm sure Andrew and I will be traveling for the holidays here and there. I will be down in his neck of the woods for some time, so we should be able to record some stuff while I'm down there, hopefully. Again, apologies once again, probably for the last time for the delay in content and the lack of transparency on that front. But hopefully moving on from this point on, you guys will have some more watch, review, repeat goodness to enjoy. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Andrew to send you guys on your way.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Laters on the Minjay.